Hey everybody, another installment of On Tyranny brought to you by the Bad Penny blog, which is my pseudonym, which is kind of, everybody's got to have a pseudonym these days, I suppose, so that's mine. But thanks for click and play, and I hope you're watching this video and some of the other ones too. I've been doing a 100-part series now, I think it is, on an issue that I believe, and I think most of the people I've interviewed believe, is extremely critical, which is the impact of fascism and authoritarianism on artists. Directly. And doing that because most of the people I speak with are artists. They can speak from experience. I know there's a lot of marginalized groups, a lot of minority groups who are having it way harder than many of us are. But at the same time, this series allows for conversations between people who have more of a creative background and how they're coping and how the horrors that are have infiltrated our government and country are affecting artists in particular. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce a very special guest we have today, David Roush. Get right. Two years?
Correct.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, and then I'm gonna get the name of it right. Uh Ecce Shnak.
Perfect.
Ah
Ecce
man.
Shnak.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I somewhere in my cabinets I've got a gold star, so I'm just gonna put that on. We'll be done with the interview. So how you doing, man? How's your day?
Man, anytime anybody asks me that, I say I'm a mix.
Mm.
It's a wonderful shorthand to neither lie to oneself or to the other person.
Yeah.
I say I'm a mix, and then they're like, "What the fuck did you just say?" Or sorry, is this a swearing of?
Go ahead, please. Let the
But they
pejoratives
say,
fly.
"What the
Yeah.
fuck?" Bro. And they say, what the fuck? What are you talking about? A mix? And I say, well, there are good things, bad things, and mediocre things. And I just find I like to say that more than, oh, I'm well, which I tend in a weird way. I'm lucky in a bunch of ways. So I can't pretend I'm not.
Yeah.
And I don't want to dishonor the good things in the world.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I don't want to lie
Hmm.
about the good things, but I can't pretend that I'm well only
Hmm. Hmm.
because of all the things that you are asking the artists that you talk to about. And so it's a mix. So today is a mix.
Yeah.
You might have heard my cat friend. She was just roaring at me with her lion's roar.
Oh,
Uh,
I thought you were gonna say that you probably heard that she passed away, and I was gonna be, oh
oh
God,
no, 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 no. That's
no.
no.
That is not a
The
dead cat.
lion's roar.
Right.
And then so I have one of the cutest cats and one of the cutest dogs in the world.
Oh,
And so that's, indescribably wonderful.
yeah.
I have beautiful loved ones. I'm in a band that I'm very proud to be in and and like,
Yeah.
there are so many hopeful things in that respect. And then there are all these disasters and
Yeah.
terrors and points of grief. And so it's a wild mix. How
You
about you? How are you?
I'm good. I'm okay. Uh, what you just said was really I find it really fascinating because you know, we live in a country, that's so focused on like the individual, and like if you want to move up in life, it's all about you having to kind of like climb the ladder or whatever. It's like, it's a very like what's it called? Like make your own destiny kind of mentality that we have in this country. So but what you just said is really fascinating because like no matter how much you take care of yourself in your own sphere, like you can be doing all the work in the world to make yourself a better person. As soon as you open the door and go outside to the world that we're living in now, it's like, all you can still hold your own probably, but you just see the horrors like you're talking about. So it's like we had this weird way in our culture of like thinking that everything's under our control, and yet, you know, we're living this, I don't have to tell you, but we're living this time that we're in. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of my answer, Christian. But I'm really glad that you're part of this series, and I'm really appreciative. I will say, and I don't think I've said this before, and again, I think I've done 100 installments of these now. But talking with you and artists like yourselves is what keeps me like from going crazy with everything else, and it's just like every time I talk with somebody in one of these interviews, I come away with something different, and I just think artists are so undervalued in our culture and our society. It's just still considered one of those things like, oh, you're a painter, pay me $1, like that kind of crap. And the reason I really wanted to have this series be around artists is because I was just speaking with someone else about this, is artists like yourself have a real um almost a preternatural like ability to sense things when things are right and amiss, kind of in the world. Um, so, it's a mouthful from me. I'll try not to ramble too much because this is your interview. But I guess I wanted to start by asking you, like, given what you just said, are you finding that you are when you're creating your art, are you finding that you're trying to divorce yourself from what's happening as a way to keep your sanity, or is it therapeutic for you to kind of work out, um, not necessarily specific situations that are happening, current events, but just like overall social and cultural like forces that are not necessarily positive right now. And you know what I mean?
I am curious about my first thought that I hear something, remember a bit of advice I heard from one of my music teachers, which
Hmm.
pertains more just to music in the specific advice, the specific circumstance he gave it to me, which is about composition. He's a guitar teacher and guitarist. What's up, Alan Krantz? How are you doing? I hope you're great, Alan. I still love you, Papa Alan.
That's so cool.
Wonderful teacher and guitarist at Temple University,
Oh yeah.
Papa Alan Krantz. Brilliant player, brilliant composer, and my teacher at Temple University.
Mhm.
He said to me, write drunk, edit sober. And that was that has a specific kind of process meaning when it comes to composition, which is to say, usually you shouldn't be too theoretical or mathematical. Kind of use your heart first, um, as much as you can. And then if, there's a goofy harmony here or a, a brown note that you don't really like that much there,
Mhm.
you can you can edit sober. You can say, oh yeah, this chord was supposed to be that. I should take this note out, whatever. Uh, this section needs another bar or needs two fewer bars, whatever it is. But I think that I've tried to write drunk and edit sober when it comes to what you're talking about, which is to say, if I'm overwhelmed by the world, I just let myself be.
Mm.
And I don't judge myself prematurely about it. Um, I think that's a big mistake. My dog is eating my headphones.
Oh,
It's a hilarious pot, so I have to get these headphones away from the dog.
no
Sorry.
problem.
Talk about writing drunk and editing sober. There's chaos all over the place. Um, but yeah, but so I have, on this album that my band is about to release,
Yeah.
there's an homage to Marielle Franco. I don't know if you know her. She was a Brazilian woman um, who was in the parliament, and she was indigenous black lesbian working lady um, in the favelas, I think in Rio de Janeiro, and she was an outspoken pro-worker, um, anti-plutocrat,
Mm.
pro-black, pro-indigenous, feminist, pro-queer rights person. She was just, 10 toes down, um, and she was assassinated. Um,
What era is this?
2018, she was
Oh,
killed, I
okay.
think.
All right.
Um, and so, it's weird because I'm a white guy from a very rich part of Connecticut.
Mm.
Um, and so if I'm saying to myself, like, what business do you have writing about this?
Yeah.
Then I sabotage myself.
Mm.
And in a way, I kind of impose some kind of sobriety on the process.
Mm. Mhm.
Instead of that, I just allow the fact that I know this lady's worldview is the only one I'm safe in.
Mm. Mm.
Ultra bigoted plutocracy threatens me too.
Mhm.
Um, and it threatens everyone else, obviously, and it threatened her, and it took her life, and it threatens every complex life form on the earth. And so if I say to myself, like, you can't do that, you're a rich, white, cisgendered male.
Right.
Okay. If I were like, I think there's a big how you say it thing. I think those sorts of concerns, we should have them. We should hear those questions, but you should also say, I'm just a person after all.
Mhm.
And even in my station and in my demographics, there is a transcendent unity.
Mm.
Um, what my role is a big question in all
Mm. Mm.
these things, and obviously the limitations of it. Those are important questions where I'm most needed, and
Mm.
where my role, where I shouldn't be involved. These are all important questions, but
Yeah.
I shouldn't say, don't write a song. That's a thing where sobriety is a kind of cruel wasp, ironically, trained.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's another song that's kind of a anti-cop song, and I had the same sort of internal monologue. I said, no, just write the freaking song.
Mhm.
There's another song that's anti-war, and I said, oh, this is just going to sound uh like U2 or whatever. And then I said to myself, well, there's like some good U2 songs after all, like art above artist or whatever. Um and uh and so that's a long way of saying write drunk, edit sober. And if sobriety is like a over willful imposition of like, don't feel your feelings of terror or solidarity or an attempt to understand something outside of your randomly given station that limits you, then you have to ignore that sobriety and embrace your drunkenness. The drunkenness of your compassion, the drunkenness of your emotional experience in your own heart being troubled by another person's suffering
Mm.
and knowing that
Hmm.
you're only alienated from them temporarily, but
Sure.
real fate is the same as theirs.
Right. Yeah, it reminds me of the exercise that writers do called, stream of consciousness writing, where you just the only instruction is to not stop your pen from moving. So you do half hour, and then you go back if you want to. You go back and then edit it. Kind of some
Yes, I got to do that. I don't do that. That sounds great.
yeah. So one more question before we get to the other subject. When you said that, and I feel this too, that the climate that we're in right now affects everybody. Um, are you alluding to sort of like just this? I, I I really don't like using the word vibe. It's just a personal thing. Won't go there. But is it because you can sense an overall mood that's out there that infects anybody who's out in the world, or are you talking more about like, fears of ICE throwing you in a van or violence breaking out or what have you?
All of the above,
Yeah.
but in particular, there's a very specific thing I'm referring to.
Mhm.
The white European plutocrat supremacist psychosis that is at the heart of our zeitgeist
Mm,
at the moment. Maybe not the heart, but I don't know. The devil in American spirit
mm,
has created three things that are threaten the apocalypse.
mm,
Um, ecocidal industries,
mhm,
nukes,
mhm.
and artificial intelligence.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, yes, the vibes are fucked, sure. And and even though um I'm, there's a long line, let's say, before I get to my call to my point in the queue for the concentration camp. Sure, it's possible I could be put in there,
Yeah,
but so yes, I have that. Um, but it's also just the thing of like, there's no privilege if one of those damn things gets shot off. There's no
yeah,
privilege.
yeah.
I mean, there, maybe,
Mm,
but not really at that point. And then, yeah, so I think yes to everything you said, and in addition, those other specific things, I'm not safe. My privilege doesn't really protect me from that.
right. The uh, what you're what you're addressing there with you're much smarter than me, so I'm not going to get the word straight, but the white man plutocracy and kind of control over really every aspect of society. To change gears kind of suddenly. I was looking for a segue, but I don't know if I'm going to find a segue. But is that what you think caused your friend Davy uh, to go to prison, or was he a
Oh,
victim
so
of
my
the?
friend is Keith. I can get a
Oh, Keith.
his
I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah.
self-portrait. check this self-portrait out.
Yeah.
My friend Keith LaMar
Hmm.
is a wonderful man. Um, and he is in the Ohio State Penitentiary.
Hmm.
And he has been there for 20 years,
Oh my gosh.
more than that,
Wow.
30, 30 years, 30 years. He's been in prison since um, 1989 when he was just 19 years old. He was a drug dealer in Cleveland. He was a guy from poor family in Cleveland. And he became a drug dealer to live as well as he could, to have some fun, to make some money, to wear some cool clothes, drive some cool cars. Just like, in a way, dumb guy shit. Being young and dumb. All of us have some version of that we fall into. His was particularly fateful because arguably the Reagan administration dumped a shit ton of crack cocaine into poor black communities in the 80s,
Yep.
and he was downstream of that.
Hmm.
Uh, and he got caught up in it. One night he was hanging by himself, but this former friend of his, who was an addict, um, came to kill him and steal his stash or steal something. So they got in a shootout.
Hmm.
Keith shot better, even though Keith got wounded. He survived his wound. The other dude, Keith shot him and killed him.
Hmm.
So Keith originally went to prison for that.
Hmm.
He was serving 18 years to life in 19, and that started in 1989. In 1993, there was something called the Lucasville Prison Uprising in Ohio,
Okay.
wherein the prison demanded that the prisoners take a tuberculosis test that the Sunni Muslims in the prison refused to take out of religious reasons.
Hmm.
There had already been extremely cruel and uh, destructive practices that the prisoners were undergoing from the prison already. So there was already an incredible amount of stress. Prison is not a happy place, obviously.
Yeah.
But then the prison said, no, you have to we can violate your First Amendment rights because you're prisoners, we're the prison, you're black, we're white, you're Muslims, we're Christians, fuck you, whatever.
Hmm.
And so they said, no, fuck you. And there was a riot.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when the riot started, Keith was outside on the prison yard working out for his 2 hours a day.
Hmm.
Suddenly, this guard comes out with his head bleeding and a prisoner chasing him with a club saying, we're taking over. And Keith said, holy shit, they started this riot. All of my worldly possessions are still in my cell. I need my stuff. I need to go back in to get it. He went in and there's total chaos. Um, and he's only in there for 15 minutes before somebody's like, you're either joining this, one of the fellow prisoners who's in the riot is like, you're either going to fuck shit up with us or you should go back outside.
Right.
Keith goes back outside. Eventually, the National Guard and the Ohio State Highway Patrol shows up with armed soldier dudes. They got helicopters, whatever. That starts 10 days of extremely brutal crackdown of the prisoners where they're stripped naked and in
Right.
groups of 10 guys in a cell for one.
Yeah.
When Keith is in one of those cells, he watches one of his fellow inmates get strangled to death by the other prisoners who are driven crazy in this circumstance. And then 9 guys die over the course of the uprising.
Mm,
Keith is tried for five, I think, of the murders.
mm,
And this is by the time that he's already been, like, in the course of his trial, he's three men admit to the crimes,
mm,
but he's still tried. And he says, "No, I'm innocent."
mm,
And they said, "Are you crazy? We might give you the death penalty. You took the guilty plea before.
mm,
Just take it again, kid. You'll serve the rest of your time combined and you'll probably get out in 25 years. Why don't you just take the guilty plea?" He said, "No, I'm innocent. I didn't fucking do this."
right.
And so he refuses, and then an all-white jury with uh, all kinds of mistrial tactics um, goes down, and Keith is convicted of the murders again, even though there are three men who admit to it, even though there's all this exculpatory evidence that's kept from the um, jury, even though there's mental illness and evidence of, uh, you know, giving the witnesses and the people who testified
Right.
a special treatment, all this shit. He's convicted and he's sentenced to death. And he spends from 1995 until now in solitary confinement.
Mm,
And he's been away, and he got a reprieve in 2023. But this coming January 13th is supposed to be his execution. But over the course of the past 30 years, Keith has survived and struggled and maintained contact with the outside world, maintained his character. He
mm,
has become an artist in all these different ways. He wrote this beautiful autobiography called Condemned. He's written all sorts of kind of poetically styled prose about his life.
mm,
Eventually, there's a wonderful Brooklyn-based jazz composer named Albert Marquez, who's also an activist in carceral justice, who heard about Keith. Albert heard about Keith, introduced himself. They became friends, and Albert said, "Dude, you got the writings. Those are lyrics. Why don't you just read your lyrics over the phone? I'll have my band play supportive, quiet textures while you're in your cell, and we'll have the receiver up to a mic, and we'll record you speaking while we're doing supportive textures. Whenever you think there's a natural point to break in your writing, give us a minute or 5 minutes, and we'll play solos, we'll play choruses, we'll do the music flourishing music side of this, and then we'll hand it back to you, and you speak again." And they made two albums from his cell and from their studios, and they toured all over the world.
mm,
And and Keith has taught literature classes to high school students, middle school students, college students, and he's also a freaking painter now. And he
mhm.
did this beautiful self-portrait. It's funny. I
Uh,
can't get this in, I
yeah,
guess. Okay.
that's it.
Uh, but he gifted this to me. Um, when I met him in maybe I can take my background off. That's probably
We
what.
only have about 5 minutes left. Just
Oh,
yeah,
excuse me. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So yeah, so that's Keith LaMar. For anybody who's interested, check out keithlamar.org.
yeah.
I'm also doing a YouTube channel called Weekly Letters to Governor DeWine,
Uh-huh.
which are uh, open letters to the governor of Ohio asking for a full pardon
Yeah.
for Keith LaMar. So
Not to
that's
not to, not to
about him.
interrupt, but I'm
That's
curious.
okay.
I'm curious, like, how does this relate to authoritarianism affecting artists, I suppose?
Yes. Well, Keith is an artist.
Mm,
And Keith is a beautiful writer and a beautiful thinker um and somebody with this fount of uh jokes and compassion and wisdom that is the art of justice and or just things being good and not shitty in the world.
mhm.
He is somebody that has already and should be able to be totally able to express that to the world and enjoy it in the world as a free man. So he is pointlessly taken from the arts to some extent, but his art also transcends the torturous solitary confinement that he suffers.
So are you saying like artists who are concerned about repercussions from the federal government about what they say, the kind of artwork they make, that those fears can be at least taken into perspective because of Keith and what he's gone through, and that it can't get worse than that, or
That's great. Yeah, I think that definitely comes out of his life. He is a leader. Um, so we should all, feel our grief and sadness and struggles for sure. Meanwhile, and I don't mean this in a crabby way, we should try not to pity ourselves,
right?
and we should instead just go for the art that we have, believe in ourselves as best as we can,
Hmm.
and remember these cool people, and be with them
Hmm.
from outside of their cell by acting in their example, following their example.
Hmm.
Maybe, yeah, yes, that's another way of saying what you're
So,
doing.
so what's your take then? Just probably last question I have. What's your take on the fact that the Trump administration is essentially trying to find as many ways as possible to hollow out the arts from our society, whether it be renaming the Kennedy Center, closing down Black History museums, uh, pulling books from shelves? Um, those are all really concrete ways of suppressing artistic sentiment and artistic expression. Is this something that you've also been concerned about, or
Absolutely. And like so many other things, Trump is just the zenith of so many um, destructive, rotten things in our society. He's just the worst expression of it, and that's not nothing. He really is as bad
yeah?
uh, as that. But he comes out of a long line of, again, ultra bigoted, earth destroying plutocrats.
uh,
And one of their main tools is by destroying
yeah.
the free expression of artistic processes and communities and accessibility
Mm,
to people. So yes, that is a terrible problem, and also uh, I really appreciate so much what you're doing, a keen point of some kind of resistance
mm.
to it.
Thank you. Do you think there's a chance that art might save us?
It definitely will play its role. It can't do it on its own,
Yeah.
but it will definitely play its role.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And um, I would hope that you have some solace knowing that your talents, you're an incredibly talented artist, that um, if nothing else, you can process and not necessarily make sense, but like you can kind of digest the world and what's happening in a way that a lot of people who aren't as artistically practiced, if nothing else, or talented. There's a lot of people who are really confused, and it seems like when I talk with the artists, they're not confused at all.
Mm.
Which isn't to disparage people, but you know what I mean. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, I hope um everyone who's ever felt like they wanted to do something wacky and has repressed themselves, I hope they trust their wackiness, or as my friend
Yeah.
Isabella she talks about clown, capital C, like the clown is as if it's like a principle in like a metaphysical thing, clown in the world, the manifestations of clown as a Hegelian thingamajig, I don't know. So trust in your clown,
There you
um, on Tyranny viewers,
go. I love it.
bad bad pennies. Trust your clown, sweetheart.
That's a great finishing line. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you so
It's
much.
your perspective has been totally different than any other one I've heard so far, and I appreciate the way that you articulated it so clearly and succinctly. So I'm excited to write the article, and I'll send you the link when it goes up.
So much gratitude to you, Kurt. I really appreciate it. And shout out to all your viewers. Much love to everybody. Stay well in the mix as best